Well, the rise of the alt-right is leading to a debate about what speech should be allowed online. Some say everyone should be free to express their opinions there, but others think there should be some sort of watchdog. But regulation could also affect businesses. Well, for more on this topic, I spoke with Matti Kon, cybersecurity expert and CEO of Infotech. I asked him how much influence social media companies should have on deciding what's expressed online.
Today, when we talk about access, we talk about companies providing you the ability to have a website out there, and that's companies who allow you to register a website. And we all know the big ones, the GoDaddies and the network solutions of the world. But these are originally small companies that expanded to be big companies that, in a sense, today have a monopoly on the website market. If they decide not to give you the ability to have a website, then you don't have a voice out there. You can stand alone in the forest and scream and no one hears you. If Network Solutions and GoDaddy don't register you or don't allow you to be registered, you're not having a website. The question is very good. How much do we expect private companies that expanded and got much more power than originally they had to actually make decisions that should belong to the government, not to them? These companies should be working and executing government regulations and not determining government regulations.
Give us some context. Just how costly can this be for businesses if they are getting their websites or their content removed?
Well, you can close your business. You're not being seen. I mean, most of us today do business through the web. We don't call 411 directory and we don't go to the library. If we want information about something, we go to the web. To the web, we perform searches. The searches hit websites, to keywords, to searches based on frequent searches, different criteria. If you don't have a website, you're not being heard, you're not being seen. I think the neo-Nazi sites, the white supremacist sites, now had to divert to the darknet, to Tor, to put their information there because all the major providers, they just don't exist on the internet anymore. So if a company decides that, if Network Solution decides that you're not eligible to register or have your websites, they're in effect shutting you down. If you're a business depending on customers, you have no longer customers, you have no longer a business. It's basically closing your store down. In the old world, 20 years ago, it was like closing your store on the street. Now we're closing the store on the internet.
Now, does the focus seem, just by the nature of the news cycle, to be predominantly just focusing on the right, or is there a broader picture about the sorts of content that we're now seeing being targeted overall?
Well, first of all, the world is becoming more extreme, and neo-Nazism is on the rise not only in this country, in Europe, following the crisis in Syria and the refugees. I think you know, as well as I do, how much extremism is on the rise. And when extremism is on the rise, the super extremism is on the right. It seems right now the media by nature is more liberal, is targeting more of the neo-Nazis. I haven't seen any liberal targets at this point addressed by the web. But bear in mind, this is the spirit today, and we know how spirits shift. We know how the mob's opinion shift. And bear in mind, these are private entities that tomorrow can be controlled by financial interests of radical groups. And if tomorrow they are controlled by financial interests of radical groups, and we have established a precedence that they are allowed to determine what goes through or not, then guess what? Tomorrow, liberal sites will be shut down and radical information will come through. That is the inherent danger in leaving the decisions in the hands of private entities controlled by private interests and not having it something done from the top, from the government.
Now let's also look at the potential impact for some of these fringe groups or communities that really aren't going to be able to get a voice online now because of these blockages. Where are they being driven to? What should we be looking for?
Well, first of all, personally, I don't think we should be looking for them, but where they have been driven to is into the dark internet. The dark internet is a internet that is not your typical internet. You don't access it through your web browser. You access it through a VPN, to a system called Tor. And a lot of bad things happen on the dark internet. Everything that you're not allowed to do on the regular internet, from possible criminal activities you may have heard, from drug trafficking, from very extreme opinions, very extreme sites, they all find themselves being driven to the dark net.
So do you ever foresee a time where we will end up seeing more regulation, not only in the regular internet that we all know, but also the dark internet that you're speaking of?
It has to. It has to happen. I mean, even on the regular internet, I always said we live a bit in the wild, wild west. Really. I mean, it's a new industry. The internet and the IT industry is far from being regulated like the accounting industry or law industry or film industry or any other industry. It's a new industry. And when new industry, it takes time for people to understand the industry, understand the impacts, understand the good things, and understand the deficiencies. And as we understand those things, we start coming up with regulation. It takes the authorities and the lawmakers and the legislative mechanism time to get up to speed. So no doubts that the regular internet is under-regulated at this point, though more has been happening on that. But the dark internet, sooner or later, will have to be regulated. There's no doubts in my mind. I mean, on a daily basis, you hear cases of drug trafficking networks through the dark internet busted by the FBI and other activities. It's a crime scene at this point, the dark internet, and I don't see how governments can, in the long run, allow it to operate without some form of regulations. I personally don't see it. When will it happen? Your guess is as good as mine.